Hello, students. Here we are in the stew. And that is not stew as in STEW that you eat, stew as in STU, the studio, where you cook beats, right? Not stew. We aren't cooking beats per se, but, take a little bit of what you learn here and cook up some beats. That's not bad. Anyway, so here we are in Soundtrap, free DAW. It looks like these days it's tied with Spotify. It wasn't a year ago, so I guess it's on the rise. It's a digital sort of, browser-based DAW, similar to something like GarageBand, but a bit more accessible because there's a free version that anyone can access, which is what you will be using, right? And so I know that there are a lot of tutorials already that go very in-depth in all the different intricacies of this platform, but none of them are really about specifically making UI sounds, right? Which is what you're doing for this activity, this task you have. So I figured I would make a video just showing you the process of me making a UI sound, right? The prompt I'm kind of following here is making a startup sound, maybe something like for Windows 98 or something, right? I kind of like that kind of vibe, so why not have fun with it, try to make something a bit like that. And so we'll go ahead and get into Soundtrap here. We'll log in. You can even use a Microsoft School account to get in there. Your @humber.ca credentials, and gets you in. And so while it is free, and there are basically free features that you'll have available to you, of course you can pay, paid plan, all that kind of stuff, but you don't need to do that for this class. If you like this program and you would like to pay a subscription or whatever, or try the 1-month free trial to do more extensive stuff with it, feel free, right? I encourage you to. I love music. I love this kind of stuff, but you don't have to do that for this class. The free version is more than enough to use for this task you have at hand. So you can see here, I already have a few projects made of startup sounds, but we're going to enter the studio. And, right, the stew. Here we are. And first it asks if I'm making music or a podcast. And there even are some demos, right, of pre-made songs and projects you can look at if you would like. We're just going to hop into a new music project. And so in this video, I might go a little bit quick here. There's going to be a lot of things I kind of mention but gloss over just because it can get very in-depth. And I know, the students, you're probably on a very wide spectrum in terms of some of you I know have done actual like professional grade music production. Some of you may have never touched a tool like this in your life. So I'm kind of trying to thread the middle there just to at least show that it is possible to do this. Give you some confidence, right, in seeing it done in front of you. So here we are. We are in a DAW, a digital audio workstation. Do you remember that term, right, from your terminology sheet a ways back? I'm going to be using a few terms from that in this thing I'm doing here. So this is a digital audio workstation, which is effectively a workstation where you produce digital audio. Oddly enough, that's what it is, right? So here we are, and you can see in the main view here, you have this add new track feature, and pretty much if you were to be making a very comprehensive project, you'd have a whole bunch of tracks laid on top of each other, right? And you can imagine that as almost like different people playing a bunch of different instruments at the same time, right? So if you were to have a band, if you were to create basically a virtual band here, you'd have a track of, a guitar, track of a bass, track of vocals, track of drums, track of keyboards, whatever else. And then they would all be playing on top of each other, right? So you could be your own whole band, right? I remember that kind of idea really fascinated me back in the day. Still does, right? So that's important, understanding different tracks that you can make. This other thing you see here is sort of like a timeline. You see it's counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those are the different measures, right? Again, that's music terminology. I'm not really going to get into music theory here, but you can consider that as being, the timeline of the song basically going over time, right? And you have this little scrubber here to lock on where in that time frame you want to listen to, okay? And you have some classic, right? Play, stop, record is this red one. And if you're playing, right, and then you pause it, you can press stop to go all the way back to the beginning, right? This is the tempo. Again, that's music stuff. Don't worry too much about that. You can have a metronome on, which is playing the tempo. So if you listen, right, this is something that you can have to help you stay on track, on beat, basically, as you're recording stuff. I use a metronome for sure. That doesn't actually pick up in the recording if you have it in your headphones. It's just there to help you stay on track, right? Anyway, so we're going to add a new track, okay? And there's a few different options it has here. You can browse loops. You can use this patterns beat maker thing, play the synth. We'll just click add new track, and it allows you to choose from a bunch of different stuff. Vocals and microphone, right? You can be recording something from a microphone. Or what kind of sound are you looking for? Piano and keyboard, guitar and bass, drum and beats, right? We'll just hop in with a piano. And there it is, right? Here we are. You see a piano keyboard, basically, right? Laid out in front of you, which is tied to different keys on your computer keyboard, right? If we play them, amazing, right? So you just play a little piano there. And this gets into the term MIDI, which again, you may remember, I think it was on your terminology sheet, which is a musical instrument digital interface. So, right, this is a musical instrument, but it's a digital interface because you're playing it like on your screen. You're not actually playing a piano either, right? You're just pressing buttons that trigger a certain sound that sounds like a piano. And you may see in, producer videos on YouTube and stuff, this sort of thing. This is a MIDI controller, which is basically an external little keyboard thing that you could plug into your laptop. And then you could be pressing these keys instead of your computer keyboard when you're making music and producing stuff, right? All sorts of little knobbies here, little beat pattern maker there as well. But I'll be using just my computer keyboard since that's what you will have access to most likely, right? So here we are. We have our little piano, fiddle around on it. It sounds really nice, right? And you can change what kind of piano it is, right? We can put a little bit of a Rhodes piano on there. Let's see. Ooh. That's nice. That's smooth. And you'll notice, just again, a little bit of quick music stuff here. It says here C3, C4, C5. Those are the same notes, but different octaves, right? So if we press... Oh, look, they're trying to get me to rate it. Get out of here. Oh, you didn't see that because my little screen's there. Anyway, so C3 and C4, comma. So those are the same note of different octaves, okay? So that sounds kind of nice. Let's take it down to this. A little bit of a clash there, right? So I know a lot of you might be saying, well, I don't have a musical ear. Try to recognize if you can see a difference between how this, the harmony sounds a bit nicer than this. Right, so if you're trying to maybe say an error, right, it sounds more like an error. Right? But if you're trying to communicate something a bit nicer, that's nice. Doo-dee, doo-dee, doo-dee. So since we're doing a startup sound, a way to consider that is a startup, you're kind of starting up, right? You're booting up. So we're going to go maybe from a lower tone to a higher one, right? So maybe something like this. That's nice. A little bit of a scale there. So that's what I'm going to be basing this off of. Okay, boot-a-dee, right? Kind of sounds like a little computer booting up. So now we need to record that little sound, okay? And to do that, like I told you before, let's practice first. So if I press play before I'm recording anything, you hear that metronome going with the tempo, right? So I'm going to go, right? Can you start to see how that's mapped to the little ting, 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 ting there? Do, do, do. So we're going to try to record that on that little time frame there. So what we're going to do is press record. It'll have a countdown. Nice. Let's listen back. Not bad, but listening back to it, I kind of wish that those notes were stretched out a bit longer. Instead of do, more like a do. So what you can do, this is the instrument view. You can click on edit on this little thing here. So now you notice that since I recorded that, you can see a visual here in the timeline of what was played, okay, what was recorded. I can click edit there and do edit notes. I can also, in this view, go from instrument to piano roll. And now what we're seeing is this keyboard view from like a top-down perspective. And you're seeing where the notes are kind of programmed on this keyboard in sort of a timeline kind of perspective, right? So you see here, those are the notes that I hit, right? So that's the programming I've put into of this little digital instrument. If you play Guitar Hero or something, maybe this can look a little bit familiar to you. I don't know if kids still play Guitar Hero or if they ever did. Anyway, so what I want to do is actually take this note and stretch it. So, ooh, interesting. So now if we listen back, right? But I want to stretch these out too. Let's stretch them out. See how that sounds. Maybe I want that last one to be a bit shorter, actually. Do-do-dee. A little bit shorter than that. Not too bad. And so you can see that that's how you can kind of move these things around, right? So I can even pick up this note and just change it to a completely different note, right? Listen back. Right, do-dee-doo. Put it back up there. And yeah, you can get really precise with making sure that, these notes start right on where the beat is in that bar there. So I'll just do a little bit of shifting around just to see that. Let's listen back again. Not bad. You can see the further I zoom in, the further it kind of zooms in up here. And I'm doing that by stretching the trackpad, like doing a little pinch thing like that. And so something I like to do when I'm doing this sort of stuff, because you notice, I can press play. If I want to go back in here, I'd have to go back and pause it and do all this stuff. What you can do that I like to is this little thing here. Okay, if you click on it, does it actually say what it's called if I hover over it? Move and adjust cycle, click to activate, deactivate cycle mode. So I've clicked to activate cycle mode. And basically I'm going to change the length of this. And sometimes it's kind of stretched out pretty far, so you have to pull it back. And I'm going to change it to just one little chunk here, one measure, right? So 1 4 count. Okay, so if I have that cycle activated and I press play, now it keeps looping that. Sorry. And what you just saw that I did there as well is I just changed the length of this little kind of clip here because there wasn't anything there. So I might as well just get it to that nice length there. So remember, what you're doing isn't recording an instrument. You're programming the DAW to register certain notes at certain times with a specific sound. So, right, if I go back to the instrument, I can just change this back to something else. Maybe I want a grand piano. I'm going to change the volume a bit there, too, just to make sure you can still hear me talk. Right, and again, this metronome I can turn off. But you know what I'm going to do is put a little reverb on there. A little bit of space to it, right? A bit too much space, though, right? And so this is where it gets into you just listening, manipulating stuff, trying to catch a vibe, right? Add in effects. Why not? A lot of different things here. You can just play around with them, see what they do. One that I like is a nice delay effect, which is like an echo. You hear that? And I can change the time of how the echo repeats. Ooh. And the mix of how strong it is in the song, or in the recording. It's a bit too strong, a little lighter. Kind of like that. Right? Turn that off. Yeah, a little bit. Right, adds a little bit of wave to it. Not bad. And so let's say, okay, so I have a little piano there. How about I want that melody repeated on a different instrument, right? Because that's the timbre of the piano we're hearing there, right? If you remember again from your terminology, timbre, T-I-M-B-R-E, that's sort of the texture of a sound. So how if you press one note on a piano and a note on a guitar, it's the same note, right? They vibe with each other. They sound nice together, but one sounds like a piano, one sounds like a guitar. That's the timbre, right, of the sound. And a piano is a stringed instrument, oddly enough, but it does sound different than a guitar. So what I'm going to do here is actually just click on these little 3 dots on this track and duplicate it. So now I have 2 pianos going. But instead of a piano here, I want to change this maybe to like some strings. Let's see. So let's see, I got strings here, string section. Oh, wait, and something I want to say as well is as you're going through these features, right, if it says Music Makers, that's like the pro version or whatever. You got to pay cash money for. If it says free, though, it's free, right? So let's get back to the tune. Right? But you know what? The strings are a bit high for me. I kind of want a little bit of a lower tone on them. So what I'm going to do is take them down an octave. And if you remember, right, this C is the note that we're using for reference. So if it's C3 to C4, is what it is right now. I'm going to take it down to C2 to C3. So I just have the string section selected here. I'm going to highlight these little note jiggers or whatever. Pull it down. Okay, so now let's listen. Right, now you can hear the strings are a bit lower, right? Instead of do-do-do, it's do-do-do, right? Starting to get a little vibe there. And then, again, the strings, I can manipulate here, a little bit of reverb on them. Maybe I want them to also have a delay. Not bad. But you know what? I still want kind of just a low tone ringing through that, because those are still kind of up in the heavenly kind of sphere. I want kind of like a boom there, right? Boom. So let's see what we got here. How about a bass? We got guitar and bass, right? So let's add in a new track of a bass. And it starts out, actually, since it's a guitar and bass, that it is a guitar. So I'm going to change that to a bass. All sorts of different basses here, right? So you can see, again, all the instrument presets, synths, strings, drums. We're going to go to, how about an electric bass? You can put a little 808 in there, a little bit of... we're not doing an 808 on this track, though. So we're going to do electric bass. How about... That's clean electric bass. It's nice. But you know what? I want it to be lower. So here I can change the octave. I can make it higher. Right, so it's basically just kind of moving... You know, a piano goes from low to high. If you're changing the octave here, it's just kind of moving the section of the piano you're working off of. Ooh, that's nice. It's a little low, though. Ooh, that's nice. No, maybe too low. Yeah. No, too high. I'm just messing around here. So here's what I want to do, right? So let's see. How about ooh, see? See, that's some fullness to it, right? And so what we can do, I'll just go ahead and record that, actually. So let's see. Right? I just kind of pressed it, held it down the whole time. Not bad. Again, we'll give that a little bit of reverb, too. And again, we can isolate this track. Change it. We can isolate this track by hitting these headphones there. So now I'm just hearing the bass. Isolate. I don't think the bass really needs a delay, though, honestly. It's just one note. Boom. Nice. So you know what? Listening back, all right, let's see. Let's turn off the cycle so we just listen to a nice playthrough of that. Kind of sounds like a nice startup tone, right? Not bad. There you go. And so what I would do is hit that file, export project to an MP3 file, right? If you remember, there's MP3, there's WAV. We'll use MP3 for this. Easy enough. It's a very common file format. Now, you notice you have to save the project first. Let's go ahead and save the project first. Start up sound. I think it's like my third one, so test 3. Press enter. You'll notice as well, because this is a cloud-based sort of platform, right, I saved it. When you try to export, it may say that it's like still saving or something. Yeah, see, it's still being mixed on our servers. Please wait. So just have patience there. So while we're waiting, let's go ahead and fiddle around a little bit more. Something else that you may have noticed. Oh, you know what? Actually, let's go ahead and try something else. We got a little bit of let's try adding in some drum beats. Now this is interesting, right? So now we're seeing this sort of visual interface here where we're watching right, there's the song kind of going by. And what we're doing is we're placing drum beats on specific moments on the timeline. I'm sorry this might be loud for you. But see, now I said we're not making beats, but we're making beats, all right? Add a couple more. Let's see, what else can we add? Crash? Not really. Not big on the crash. Rimshot. Change also the sound of the drum, right? Not so much. The real thing. You can even check out the instrument, look at it, right? You see there's the drum there. Anyway. See? All right, so we're making beats, but you're not going to really probably have that beat part for your UI sound because you're not really making a beat there. But if you want to use your UI sound as a sample for a beat, more power to you. Something else I did want to show, though, right? Again, for those of you sticking around wanting to learn a bit more about this stuff, something else you can do, and I just went ahead and muted all of those tracks there because I'm just going to use something else. So let's imagine we're kind of starting from scratch a bit. I'm going to throw in some loops, okay? So say you're you know, like, oh, man, you know, I'm not a musician. I can't sit there and press the piano and all that kind of stuff. So what you can do is use loops, which are basically kind of pre-made melodies and loops and programming things and all that. So you can sort through the loops by different sort of sections here, right? So again, if we're building a UI sound, I think maybe something kind of synthy, right? A synthesizer. And right, these are all, again, Music Maker's Pro stuff. But if you scroll down, there's definitely some options here. So I mean, that first part kind of sounds like that could be used pretty well for something. It's like a trombone. What else do we got here? A little bit like a Vici kind of thing. So again, you can sort through these and try to find if there's a melody or something you kind of like. A little Brampton 808. Nice. Throw some Yeezus in your UI sounds. Why not? What else we got here? Dark G. I'm just kind of, now I'm just having a little bit of fun with it. Okay. How about? No, not what I'm looking for. How about synth lead? Not bad. Not bad. Let's say we just want to kind of use a part of this melody, right? So what you do is just take this, pull her in, press play. Right. We can duplicate it. Put a little bit of a different texture here. How about, what would be nice? Maybe like a flute kind of thing? Clarinet. Nah. Again, I don't know what sound you'd be using that for, but you can use these pre-existing kind of patterns here, though, if you feel, again, very unconfident in trying to create your own. You can use these for sure. Again, the ones that are available to you. Pretty classic, just classic kind of beat here. Anyway, I'm just kind of getting carried away. So you can use loops as well, all of that to say. So you've seen me fiddle around, show you here how you can make some kind of sounds and little things and stuff like that. So hopefully now you can fiddle around for yourself, have some fun with it. Let's just go ahead and, again, I'm unmuting certain tracks here. So let's hear our classic UI sound. There we go. Yeah, what we're going to do is just at this point, we should be able to export it, I think. Please save project first. Saving. Just to show you again, exporting it. Still mixing it on our servers. So yeah, the more you start fiddling around with the project, the more time it'll, I guess, take for it to mix down on their servers. But it will get there, I promise you. Just give it a moment. I won't make you sit here as I do this. Anyway, thank you for watching this. Hopefully you found it somewhat helpful. Again, you just watched me go through the process of opening this thing up, make it a UI sound, and hypothetically exporting it. And then what you would do is you take that sound, pop it into your submission, and you're good, right? And so, again, check out their tutorials. A lot more comprehensive if you need help with specific things, right? I think the thing that I recommended you check out is at least this studio. These basics kind of tutorials, because they at least get you familiar with understanding, again, how to navigate around the UI, basically, because that's very important. But other than that, it's really just sitting there having fun with it, right? Trying to make something. And I will say, right, those of you who watch this, I'm hoping not to get a whole bunch of submissions of just a piano and a string section and then a bass, right? You saw me do it, but figure out for yourself a sound, a vibe you're trying to capture, right? And why you're trying to capture that vibe, right? I was capturing this vibe because it's a startup sound, right? I'm trying to make people feel comfortable, maybe feel a bit nostalgic as they enter into my interface, right? Harken back to the good old days of cracking open your Windows 95, Windows 98, right? So there we go. I just cut ahead there to show you, once it's kind of taken a moment, to export project as MP3 file. There it is, and then you'll notice it, in your downloads. If we listen back to the track, there you go, right? And what you would do is, if you remember in VoiceFlow, you can easily integrate sound files in there. So you would use that in your VoiceFlow project, but now you have it handy to utilize, right? One more thing I did want to show as well while I still have you, is you can also record sounds, right? If you don't want to actually use these digital kind of instruments and stuff, what you could do is click Add New Track and do voice and microphones. And you can choose what your microphone input is. I'll just use my MacBook Pro input, since that's probably what you have as well. I'm not going to use this microphone. Okay. And then what you would do is, just like you did start recording with the little piano and stuff, you would do start recording, and I'll record a clap. Okay, let's see. Advising you to use headphones. I am using headphones. As you can see, and so this recording has this R highlight too, so it's getting an echo there. It's playing back what it's hearing. Turn that off. It was also played on top of these. Let me mute those just so we can isolate. Or instead of muting them all, I could also just hit the headphone here to isolate this. So let's hear that clap. Not bad. You can hear me clicking at the front though. So actually, let's cut that just to isolate just the clap, right? You can see the sound there. So let's listen. Oh, here's me clicking still. Ooh. Pretty nice clap. And then once again, we can go ahead and add a little bit of reverb. And this is where you can really start to get wonky with stuff. So let's try to add in some stuff here. Let's see. Again, my favorite, a delay. Springy kind of sound. Let's add in, let's see what else. Flanger. Now it's starting to sound like a lightsaber or something. I mean, that's pure sound manipulation, right? So that's me recording a clap, adding in a whole bunch of sound effects and stuff, and it turning into something else entirely. Right? You could even take that, whoops, do a little bit of Command C, Command V, right? Stack them up. Put another one in there. Choo, choo, choo. That's not very good. Anyway, but just to show that you can also record a sound and manipulate it somehow if you're trying to capture, again, some kind of sound. If you want like a little ringing bell or something, or I don't know, a book closing or opening, or I don't know what sound you'd be looking for, or if you really wanted to even manipulate it very much. But this is something you can do. Anyway, with that, I'll leave you to explore on your own. And again, most importantly, have fun. And thank you for watching this tutorial. Hopefully it helped. And yeah, have fun.